Hey there, welcome back to my kitchen. Several years ago, my husband and I traveled to St. Augustine, Florida. And we went to dinner one night at a restaurant that served a pasta dish that I absolutely fell in love with. So like I normally do, I took a picture of my food and I took a picture of the item on the menu. And when I got home, I recreated this dish. Now, for the life of us, we cannot remember the name of this restaurant. But we've made this pasta dish many times since then, and we renamed it St. Augustine's pasta. It's very simple to put this together. It has just a few ingredients, but it is loaded with flavor. This is something that you can prepare in less than 15 minutes and you'll be serving it. It's great for just an evening at home for yourselves, or it's a wonderful meal to serve to guests. I'm going to be using this pasta. This is my favorite. I like it because it's made with several kinds of flour from legumes, and so it's really high in protein. It's also really high in fiber. We'll be using garlic, a few tomatoes, a handful of basil, some capers, some artichokes, a few spices, and this time I'm throwing in a little bit of asparagus. Now, I don't always put the asparagus in, but if I see some in the market and it looks really good, I'll grab it and we'll toss it in. It'll add a little more nutrition and a little extra color. So let's go ahead and put this together. Okay, first things first, I'm going to put a pot of water on to boil. And in the time that it takes this pasta to cook, I will have everything else prepped and it'll go together really quickly. Now I have about a half can of artichokes here, and I never buy the artichokes in the oil. I just buy the artichokes that are in water. And I bought this can, they were already quartered. Sometimes I buy them whole. I usually buy whatever's on sale. So I've just chopped those quartered artichokes up a little bit, and I've washed my asparagus. And I'll just give this a cut into about 1-inch pieces. And I'm just leaving everything right here on this cutting board. Just let's keep it really simple. Next up is the garlic. And yes, this is that humongous elephant garlic that we like. And with this big elephant garlic, sometimes I will just use my chopper and chop it up. Today, I think I'm gonna run it through my little mincer. And if you don't want to mess with garlic, you can use the garlic in the jar. I say do whatever is most convenient so that we can eat food at home instead of going out. Okay, and that's the last of my garlic there. It's so mild, don't let that mountain of garlic scare you. Next up, we'll slice these tomatoes. And I sometimes use grape tomatoes. I will use just any kind of small tomato. Normally I cut them in half, but these are kind of large, so I'm gonna cut them in quarters. Well, in the amount of time it took me to prepare those ingredients, my water came to a boil, and I'm cooking about a half of this box. I just eyeball it. With this little stir, we'll bring it to a boil and cook it until it's al dente. While the pasta cooks, we'll put the rest of this together, and the timing always comes out perfect. I'm starting with a hot pan, and you know I don't use oil when I saute. I'm just going to splash a little water in. And when the water dances, I know that my skillet is hot and I can saute. I always avoid putting a lot of oil in the bottom of my pan because it's 130 calories a tablespoon. And when you tip that bottle up, you have dropped 500 or 600 calories in your pan before you know it if you're not very careful. So first thing we're going to do is cook these tomatoes. and they'll start to get a little bit of color in the bottom of the pan, and this is exactly what we want. We'll let these cook until they start to break down. The tomatoes are beginning to break down, and the pan is getting a little bit dry, so I'll just drop a little more water in. And you can see how it starts to break that color loose. We'll let this go for a couple more minutes. The tomatoes are starting to break down, and I've got just a little bit of moisture in the bottom of my pan. I'm going to take my garlic and toss it in. And I never saute garlic more than 30 to 60 seconds, because if you saute garlic too long, it can very easily become bitter. So let's just give this a little stir, move that garlic around in those juices from the tomatoes. This smells incredibly fragrant. It's been about a minute, and in go our quartered and chopped artichokes. Okay, I'm going to reach over and just grab a little bit of my pasta water and toss it in our pan. And let's add those capers. And I'm going to reduce my heat. And we'll add a little bit of crushed red pepper because we like our food to be a little bit spicy. And a couple tablespoons of bouillon. And this is the bouillon that I make. If you want to check out my recipe for my chickenless bouillon and beef bouillon, I've got the link below. And this is my salty component. So once I add this, I won't need to add any other salt to this dish. And I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons. And you don't need to jot this down. Everything will be in the directions below. Now let's throw in the asparagus. And I put the asparagus last because I definitely do not want the asparagus to overcook. It cooks very quickly. And we'll let this simmer for a couple of minutes. So I've drained my pasta, and we're just going to toss this in. I'm adding fresh basil. My husband just came in and could smell this, and he's pretty thrilled that this is what we're having for dinner tonight. It's one of our favorites. So after I added the basil, I just let this cook for about a minute. And this is finished and ready to serve. Honestly, we rarely eat out anymore. We eat mainly when we travel. It has gotten so expensive to eat out. But even more than that, I find myself looking at a lot of these dishes in the restaurant, and I'm not even sure what I'm eating. And I just don't like eating a bunch of mystery ingredients. Look how beautiful this is. I'm going to garnish it with just a little bit of fresh basil and give this a try. If you want to add a little to this dish, you can serve it with a side salad and a little bit of crusty sourdough. It is so good. This is just beyond yummy. I hope you give this recipe a try. If you do, let me know how it goes in the comments. And if you enjoyed our time together, please click the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.